There it is. Hello, I'm Mo Speaks. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share. Trying to figure out this whole vertical thing. Looks like it's working. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it running for now. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Um, Today, I want to talk about what's going on, Lou. What's going on, KMC? Kiss my cheeks. What's going on, Angelo? True Essence. How you guys doing? Um, I want to talk about what's happening on the right now, conservatism or so-called conservatism, whatever. There's a movement right now of never Trumpers being led by Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin. There's a whole lot of lower tier content creators, but those are the main ones, the big ones. I don't know if I would even consider Mark Levin big, but then there's Abby Stuckey. Who else is out there? Brandon Tatum. He's probably the lowest level of all. That guy's man. I can't believe I used to watch that dude. Anyway, there's this whole group, and they are still going after Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, um, Dave Smith. Who else are they really going after? Ian Carroll. Um, what's going on, Miss Phoenix? Maybe those are like the main ones. I'm sure I'm missing some. I apologize if I'm missing some, but they're really going after these people because they really do not like what's going on, Monarch. They don't like that they are America first, and now apparently America first is a bad thing. So I'm gonna start off this live with a couple definitions because this is just wild. What's going on, Miss Just J? And it's like I don't see this ending anytime soon. They seem to be thinking that they're gonna just, I guess, take MAGA. There's a big fallout between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump, and he's seemed to have lost his base and he doesn't understand why. This is the first time I've seen Donald Trump not understand where he's going wrong. The rest of the time he's really had his somebody saying what's up to you, Lou. This is the first time I've really seen him not have a finger on the pulse because normally he does a really good job of understanding what his base wants. And really, all they want is what he said he was going to do. And this really started going wrong with the Epstein Files thing. So now they voted on that. I believe it's passed through both. I'm not sure if the Senate is done with it yet, but the House passed it on the Senate. If they haven't already done it all, they'll be done with it. And once that's passed, we're going to get everything, all things Epstein Files. What really is weird is that Trump didn't understand that that's all that people wanted, and that he really damaged his, I wouldn't say credibility, but he damaged, well, it could be just credibility. He really hurt himself politically by shrugging it off like it's not a big deal because he ran on it and he's wrong. And I have no issue. People always, up until he got pushed out the first time when they stole the election, Up until then, people thought that I would agree with anything he does, and I said, "No, if he does something that I don't agree with, I'm gonna say it." And apparently, um, here we are. It's been a couple things, but this is the biggest one. The Epstein's files, um, the Israeli war, Gaza, those two things have really damaged him. And this is the first time I'm gonna say that I actually agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene over Donald Trump. And he's going after her because that's what he does. I'm sure she's not taking that personal, but she's gonna hit back because she is MAGA. Trump created the phrase, but the movement was here long before he came. It was the Tea Party movement, and all we want is responsible government. We do not want. You said you can't stand her. A lot of people can't stand her. Um, I just know, why is it putting the comments on top? Yeah, I gotta play with this vertical thing. Why is it putting out everything's piled on top of each other on the top, even the comments? I guess over in the vertical stream it doesn't look as bad, but you can't really see anything. I gotta play with. I created a whole new. Um, hmm. I created. Let me see something. Sorry. I created a whole new brand just for the vertical, but I can't use them both at the same time, so I don't know how to do this. All right, like I said, I'll figure this out later. I should have just hit regular to start this live and then played with it on the side, but he's hurt himself by shrugging it off and saying Epstein, who essentially, and people are like, whoa, you ran on this. You have to put this forward. And he's done a really good job on other things. That's why I thought I don't understand the misstep. It was really strange to me that he's acting as if it's not a big deal. We know he's not in it because if he were in it, we would have been seen. They would have been leaked it because the Biden administration had this information the whole time. So there's no way they would not have leaked that on that guy because they didn't want him to be reelected. They tried to kill him. Like they literally tried to kill him. So for when people are saying, "Oh, he's in there," nah, we would know that by now. They've been looking for everything. They looked into absolutely every nook and cranny of his life. He would have been gone, or he would have been outed in this sense. I think. Now here's my theory. There are some things that we don't need to know, and I learned this during the MLK records release. That's when I'm like, oh man, we did not need to know this. I can see a government official saying this is not worth getting out and more damage than good can come out of it. Now, I don't agree that they should do that, but I can see a justification because when I read everything on MLK, I was like, oh man, everything we thought we knew about that man is just wrong. And it really, really changed my perspective on okay, classified versus not classified, holding on to things versus not releasing them. I kind of understood more. Same thing with JFK files. I believe they should everything should be released, but I understand when they justify not releasing them, if that makes any sense. I can see them saying, man, if they know that the CIA did this, we'd have to disband the CIA, which I'm okay with. I'm great with. But then you're gonna have to replace with something, and I don't know if anybody just wants they don't want to deal with that. They need to, but I don't know if that's one of their priorities, if they want to deal with that. MLK is the same thing. We've got in every major city, there's a boulevard, a avenue, or a street named after this man. And if people find out who he really was, it's going to be like, it's more of a shock. And I also think that for the black community, it would be a sore subject because we pedestalized people, and we really shouldn't have. But we pedestalized people based on their accomplishments, and he accomplished a lot. We just didn't know what the motives were, and we didn't know the man behind it. So that's where I started looking at it like, okay, I'm kind of more understanding when they don't release stuff. So when Epstein thing came about, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something in there that they're worried about wreaking havoc, and I'm guessing we would lose a lot of politicians and a lot of world leaders would have to step down. Um, and I think no administration wants to be not responsible for that, but be the ones to release that information, if that makes any sense. Now they have to, and we'll see what's in there. I, I mean, I don't know, but it is damaging to constantly say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you never do it. And one of the really bad things about Trump's first administration was building the wall. And then they got in, they had both legislative branches, they had the judicial, or both legislative, they had Congress, they had the judicial, they had the executive, and they didn't do it. Republicans blocked it. It makes no sense to me. Just like there was a House representative, I can't remember her name, but she was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, during a congressional hearing. They put up for her to be censured, and four or five Republicans said, "No, we're not going to do that." And I'm like, they should be investigated. Why would you vote no to kicking her off the Senate Intel or House Intel committee? I don't understand why you would want somebody like that who's literally She's during a testimony of, I think it was Michael Cohen. She's texting Jeffrey Epstein, and he's feeding her information and questions to ask. And four or five Republicans said no, she doesn't need disciplinary action. I don't understand that. And this is why every time somebody accuses me, because it's an accusation now, anytime somebody accuses me of being Republican, I'm like, no, they're weak. They're weak. I don't trust them. They're no different from Democrats. Now, their platforms are, and their goals are, and how they work toward achieving goals. Those are different for sure. But the human beings, people are going to people. What's her name? KMC. Let me see. Texting. I mean, this just happened. This just happened 6 hours ago. Here we go. I'm gonna pull it up just so you guys can see. Like, there's no excuse. Actually, let me see if there's a video. Nah, we'll just look at an article. ABC News. So, Plaskett, that's her name. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There she is. She was literally texting this man. Let me pull it up. Oh, this is putting a little strain on the old laptop. I'll make it full screen. So, for whatever reason, 4 or 5 Republicans voted against censuring her. And censuring is just discipline and getting her off an Intel committee. Because if you're colluding with Jeffrey Epstein, why would you want this woman on an Intel committee? And it just says documents in recent Epstein files release showed that she was texting with Epstein in the middle of a congressional hearing in 2019. Like, and they lined up the timing, and you can literally see while Cohen's talking, he's sending her texts and communicating with a sitting House representative. Like, that is insane to me. And she said, I believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information. I was going to get information to get the truth. No, lady, he was already convicted by that. You're literally communicating with a convicted felon who really shouldn't have even had access to her while you're supposed to be handling business. And to me, what is it? Why did it just do that? There I am. And I don't understand how that's possible. So politicians are covering for each other, and that's pretty much where I was going with the whole not wanting to release the Epstein files. I think there's way more people that are going to be implicated by it, and I guess we're going to find out because it needs to be unredacted. There's no one to protect. They say they want to protect the victims. Okay, well, that's only a couple names, and in context, we should be able to figure out who's who. And I believe they just need to get it over with. Let's see. They use the excuse of American people aren't ready. I say let the people decide. I agree. But I do get where I'm coming from, where you're coming from. Put it in the book. Nobody needs any more anyway. Yeah. Um, the MLK thing really changed my perspective on this because I always have said release everything, everything, and then I don't know if everyone's ready for that. Why did it just do that? I don't know what's going on. Oh, there's a delay on that. Okay, so let's get to those definitions I was talking about. Let's see. So there's a new thing going around. It's not really new, but this is what they're attacking right now. If you call yourself a nationalist, they are painting that in a bad light. And a nationalist is this is all it is: an individual who advocates for or believes in nationalism, an ideology that emphasizes loyalty and devotion to to a nation state, often prioritizing its interests above all others or supranational groups. So I'm a nationalist. Based on this definition right here, it makes perfect sense to me. I don't know how anyone would be against this. How can I get this? Yeah, this is weird. Yeah, I should have probably played with this first. I'm a nationalist. I believe that America first is the most important thing for any politician because they ran and we voted them in to take care of our interests. So what they do is as this says, supranational groups, the UN, NATO, when those people are making decisions, I don't believe that they have any jurisdiction over me. If I did something, my government can prosecute me. And apparently, that's nationalism. I have no issue with that. So, what they've started doing now is they've started conflating it with different types of nationalism. White nationalism is another one. So, that's a political ideology that advocates for national identity based on white ethnicity, with the goal of maintaining white demographic majority and dominance of the nation's culture and public life. It's often described as a form of, it's not in here, but white supremacy. I don't know how many of these there really are. So I don't even know why this was part of our discussion, our national discussion. But apparently, if you're a nationalist, this is who they assume you are. If you're a patriot and say you love the country, this is who they assume that you are. I don't know why they go to that assumption. You can be black, you can be Puerto Rican, you can be Hispanic, you can be whatever. They're gonna, as soon as they hear the word nationalism, it's triggering something. There's this dog whistle, and they're automatically tying it to racism. And the origin of this, interesting enough, came from the idea, or it says the ideology has deep roots in the late 19th, early 20th century pseudoscience and eugenics movements in the United States, influencing discriminatory practices or policies like Immigration Act of 1924, inspiring Nazi Germany's racial laws. Eugenics is something that the left is all about, and this is really interesting because Margaret Sanger, the creator, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was a white nationalist. She believed in black people or whoever she felt inferior not being able to reproduce, and that's how they started Planned Parenthood. And she would go around to white supremacist groups, KKK, whatever other groups were out there, and she would do speeches on eugenics and how they can control the white population versus the black population and the lesser people. And it's this has been the case the whole time, and for whatever reason, we not only ignore it, but black women get abortions at a higher rate than anyone else. And it's they say we have more complications, pregnancy complications. Well, we're having abortions, and then if there are complications as a result of an abortion, that's counted as black women having more complications during childbirth. It's not during birth. It's during pregnancies. And for whatever reason, we ignore it. We don't look at it. Um, the Democrat Party pushes it as, what do they say? They call it a form of health care. Um, I can't remember the term that they use, but they call it health care. So if your employer says no, we're not going to pay for that if there's moral grounds, religious grounds, they will try to force your employer to pay for abortion, something that they are against. And we're the biggest targets of this stuff. And we know this because they're in our neighborhoods. And we know it because we numerically, we have the most, statistically, we have the most abortions out of any other group in this country. But for whatever reason, we're okay with this. So this kind of white nationalism is okay. I anyway. So another form of nationalism is Christian nationalism, and this is a political ideology that seeks to merge Christian and national identities, advocating for the government to privilege Christianity and apply Christian values to public policy. It is distinct from merely being a Christian or patriotic, and is subject to significant contemporary. I don't know what else is said under there. Doesn't really matter. This is too vague to me because if you really think about this country and you think about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, those are all Christian values. Those are God given rights. That's why we all get them. So it's really hard to separate at least that part of Christianity from politics because our country was founded on this. You'll hear them say Judeo Christian values. We were literally found on the idea of getting away from tyranny to be able to practice whatever religion you want, whatever faith you want. But the core of everything is life, liberty, and happiness, pursuit of happiness. And that's what we're founded on. So, how do you separate that? I don't see this as a bad thing. And it says it's distinct. I don't know how it's distinct. I really don't. What's up, Andre? I don't know how they distinguish it. I would love for somebody to explain it. But as I looked it up and I'm reading it, I'm like, how is this bad? Now, I've seen arguments of people talking about what's the Islamic version of this? Sharia law. I've seen people talk about, okay, well, we don't want that running, but we've never had anything like that in this country, and I'm it still has to pass. Like these laws still have to pass. So it's very interesting to me. It's a cool topic, and I've been really reading up on it, but I've yet to see a bad version of this. At least when it comes to Christian values, I have not seen a bad version of this because we still have constitutional rights.
What we want.
Whoops, let me put this down. So this is Matt Walsh, and now he's under fire because he is talking about America first. And again, for whatever reason, that has become anti-Semitic. This movement, I've never picked a side when it comes to Israel Palestine. I've never. It's not our fight. That's how I've always looked at it. And I even made a live a long time ago when October 7th first happened. I said that we should be like the big brother, stand there, let them fight it out. Don't let anyone else intervene and just stay out of it. We shouldn't be funding this stuff. But now my view is apparently it's anti-Semitic because if you guys saw my timeline, I don't know how many of you guys are on X, but there's a campaign going on right now that is absolutely insane. It is nonstop. And it is this Zionism thing. So they're demanding Christians be Zionists, and they're saying it's biblical. I've already shown on a couple lives now that it's not the case, at least not for Christians. So for Jewish people, yeah, I get it, and I actually have no issue with it. If you're Christian and you're neutral, I get it. But what's really weird is they're forcing it now, and they're trying to make Christians say, they're doing things like, well, Jesus was a Jew, and it's like, okay, what does that have to do with Israel? And their angle is so aggressive, it's making me look into it, and it's really off-putting to me. I could be wrong. It may not bother some people. They may not have the timeline I do because I'm so into politics. My timelines are just flooded with Zionism and not demands, but there's like a pressure that you have to pick a side. And I'm like, why do I have to pick a side? They're There's even hopefully I have the slide in here. There's even a movement it's kind of like the anti-racist thing where it's not just okay to not be racist. In other words, you can be fine, you can be a white person and not hate black people. That's not enough to them. What they were saying is you also have to take action. Otherwise, you're still complicit in racism. And that's what I saw now. There's a call for this. And it was Seth Dillon who posted it. And he got so many likes and retweets. And I'm like, so it's not enough to not dislike Jews. You have to take action against anyone who does dislike Jews. This is a liberal thing that was going on a lot during cancel culture, and unfortunately, it's now on the right, and that pressure only pushes people away. I don't know why they're doing it. I think it's a really bad strategy. I think it is a really bad strategy, but they're still moving forward with it. It's almost as if they can't help themselves because they're driving this thing, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon because they're getting more and more and more and more aggressive. Did I say what's up, Andre? What's up, Andre?
Is for someone to unashamedly and single-mindedly advocate for Americans and Americans only. We want someone to say, the only thing I care about is helping Americans. The only people I care about in the world are Americans. And we don't want to just hear that, but we want to see the action taken as well. I've seen some people on social media say, hey, it's America first, but not America only.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think it is America only. It's like I said months ago, I consider myself an American chauvinist. America first, America only. I'm an American chauvinist. I don't care about it. This is the only thing I care about. America should be the only thing you care about, especially as a leader of the country. Again, America only means that the only priority of our leaders is to serve the interests of our country and its people. So when you say, oh, but what about this? If we don't do this, it's going to hurt Americans. Okay, well, then we should do it if your argument is true. Okay, now we're arguing based on the right premise here. That's the whole point. If you're making any argument for doing anything globally, the argument should be, well, yeah, we should do this because this will help America.
And here's the irony of the whole Christian nationalism thing is they're using the Christian nationalist argument to defend Israel. I watched Ted Cruz do it. In the conversation with Tucker, he said it's biblical. Okay, I thought we were not doing that. Like literally everyone else who speaks in that kind of way and talks about the Bible, they'll immediately shut you down. They don't want they want to take God out of Pledge of Allegiance. They want to take God out of prayer. They want to take prayer out of schools. They don't want that until it has to do with Israel. And again, I've never even had thoughts like this until recently. And I'm like, this is not, something's wrong here. This is really, really weird that they're pushing it and they're really aggressive. I mean, people are being called evil for saying, I don't think our money should go towards this war, or I disagree with this side, or I don't like people dying in this way. For whatever reason, it turns into you're evil, you're anti-Semitic. And I'm like, we don't do this. We don't do this. The right doesn't do this. It's not supposed to do it. But they're clearly doing it right now. And it's being led, oddly enough, by Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, two people who were, I thought, were America first. But I've seen them now posting America first is Israel first. And I'm like, I don't know.
Might be wrong, you might be right about that argument, but that is the argument you need to make. Making the argument that, well, we should do this because it's really important to those foreigners over there that we do it, that is the wrong argument, because that is not the point. The point is serving our own interests. If it serves our interests, we should do it. This really is not complicated. I'm America only in the same sort of sense that I am my family only. My priority is my family. I will never put any other family above my own. I will help other families only to the extent that it brings no harm to my own family.
And so he's being called anti-Semitic over this. What's is really interesting is that he works for Daily Wire. And this is what kind of happened to Candace Owens when she obviously went further than this because she was more direct. But what he's saying is not different than what she's saying. It's just his delivery. I think this is going to cause issues at Daily Wire. They already lost Jeremy Boring. I think this is going to cause an issue at Daily Wire. I think Ben Shapiro is going to look at this and have a problem with it because he automatically calls everyone an anti-Semite, and he's doing some stuff. I'll play it towards the end. That guy's way more shady than I ever thought he was, and I watching it now with a different perspective. I said this last week. I think I said this. Every 5 years, our perspectives changes. 10 years, it's drastically different. We learn, we evolve, we get older. Our experiences tell us differently. And I think I was talking to Lou when I said you can read or you can watch Warner Brothers cartoons. You can watch Bugs Bunny at 5 years old, and you watch it at 15. You're starting to see innuendos. At 25, you're like, whoa, they're overtly talking about sex on a cartoon for kids because we're older. We look at it differently, and we see different things that are happening. It's the same thing that's happening. We just see it different. What he's saying is going to be a problem. It may not be a problem right now, but this is going to lead to issues because he's saying, I don't want to have anything to do with this stuff. I want to take care of my home first. I've said this 1,000 times. My house, I can't help other people's kids if my kids are not in position for me to help somebody else. They have to be taken care of. My home has to be, it's my duty. It is my job to take care of my home. My wife and my kids are first. So for somebody to smear me when I say I can't help the neighbor right now, well, they'll start throwing Bible verses at me. And it's like, whoa, slow down. I have to be able to take care of my family first. I'm not going to take food out of my son's mouth to give to somebody else. I can't. I have a responsibility. I cannot do that. And I would never do that. He's not going to be hungry because somebody else's kid is hungry. Somebody over there has a responsibility to that child, and it may not sound, I don't know, I don't want to say politically correct. It may not sound good, but that's what it is. It may sound selfish, but it's not. It really isn't, because the self is not just me. Myself is me and everyone around me, everyone within my circle of trust and under my care or guidance or leadership, whatever you want to call it. I can't provide for somebody else before I provide for my tribe, my family. There's no way I could do it. I would not be a man if I couldn't do that.
My family is the only family that I treat as my family because it is my only family. There will never be a time when the interests of another family will come before my own. If I had to choose between rescuing 1,000 strangers from a fire or just one of my children, I would choose my child without hesitation.
I would not only choose my child, but I wouldn't feel bad. I would feel bad that they passed, but I would not feel bad about my decision. You could see me as a bad person because of that, or however you want to see it. I don't care. I really don't. But I would literally choose my child over 1,000 other people. You could say, oh, that's not good for the greater good. I'm not here for the greater good. I'm here for my family. I made this family. I'm responsible for this family. I will lead this family. I will guide this family. I will make sure that they move on. But what he says sounds like it's selfish because of the delivery. And what I'm saying may sound that way. That's fine. Okay, I don't care. But I'm not a community first person. I don't believe in it takes a village. I hear people say it. I get what they mean by it. But no, it really doesn't. Not if there's a father in the home. It takes a mother and a father. That's it. Now, once that mother and father is good, yes, get back to your community, help your community. No issues. But if you're not good, 100%, there can be no, I'm not taking 1% from my son to give to anybody else. I'm just not. I won't do it. I can't do it. It bothers me to even think about doing it. I get annoyed at myself for thinking about my son not being able to eat till he's full so I can give to somebody else's. I can't do it.
It could be 1,000,000 strangers that I could rescue, or just one of my children, and I will choose my child.
and this is, sorry, I keep stopping, but this is so important. I would not send my son to war in a conflict that has nothing to do with this country. You can call him you can call him scared, you can call him a deserter, you can call him anything you want. If it has nothing to do with this country, he is not going. My son will never go to Ukraine. I don't care how long that war goes. My son will never go to Israel. I don't care how long those wars go. It's not going to happen. Now, if our southern border has something going on, no one would be more proud of seeing their son go off to defend this country, this one right here, this one. But I'm not sending him overseas. Now, there are some instances where it could be needed and he could be deployed or whatever, but I'm not sacrificing. I'm just not, unless this country is at risk. And what I'm seeing in a lot of these wars, there are financial interests, there are resource interests, but there are no real imminent threats. Not right now. China would be the only one. The only one. I can't think of anyone else right now. When they talk about Iran and all that, no. They're a threat to their region for sure. But there's a lot of people in that region. Why do I have to send my son over there for that? Maybe I'm crazy.
I'd say that's my family only. And I also think that every parent would do the same. Now, our leaders are not our parents, and we're not their children, so I hesitate a little bit to make those kinds of analogies, but the same general principle should apply. They should prioritize their people, Americans, above all other people on earth. They should concern themselves with other nations only to the degree that it benefits Americans. If they could choose between helping 10 million foreigners or one American family, they should choose the American family without hesitation.
And this is my whole thing with the border. Every time I have this discussion, I'm like, I use the same analogy. It's micro, but it can scale. If somebody breaks into my home through the back door, I'm not going to treat them the same as somebody I let in my front door. And I said this to the gentleman, I think his name was Mr. Black. He came up on my panel, and we talked about this, about immigration. And he's like, well, most of these people are good. Okay, I need to know that all of them are good. Or if they're not all good, I'm responsible for the bad one who got in, and that's on me. That's my fault. That's called security. But what I'm not going to do is ignore people going through the back door and hiding in my basement. I just can't do it, because now everyone's at risk. And it's my responsibility to protect my home. So it is the government's responsibility to protect the people who voted them in. So when they ignored the border, I was all over. You guys see, I've made so many lives and so many videos on that topic, because it's just that important. And it's going back to what he's talking about right here. It's the same thing.
If they could help 10 million foreigners, but it would harm one American family, then they should not help those 10 million foreigners.
I keep pausing it. I'm sorry. But everything he's saying is so important. This is why I said an illegal alien breaking a law is worse than a citizen breaking law, even if it's the exact same law. Why? I know who the citizen is. So if he's jaywalking and causes an accident because people are swerving around, what's going on, bad guy? If he's jaywalking and causes cars to swerve around, we can hold him responsible. You can't do that with an illegal alien because you don't know who they are. You don't know who any of them are. As far as you know, they're ghosts. They weren't here yesterday. They're not going to be here tomorrow. As soon as they leave that scene, what do? So even all the way down to jaywalking, it is worse for an illegal alien to do it than it is for a United States citizen to do it. That's what he's saying here. Essentially, is what he's saying. And not only do we allow that to happen, but then we give them privileges. We allow them to drive, and you see what just happened. California had to revoke 15,000 or 17,000 driver's licenses because there was another accident where American citizens were killed in an accident from a foreign national driving in our country, and they had a license, a driver's license. I think they made. I don't know if the I don't know if the law is federal, but it makes perfect sense. You should have to be able to speak English to have a license. How do you read the signs? You just going by the colors? I don't understand. I don't understand. But they're now revoking license nationwide. California finally gave in, and like I said, 14 or 17,000 illegal aliens were just driving around that state, putting everyone at risk. So it's a law. Is it federal? No, it can't be federal. It should be federal. You should be able to read the signs that you have to abide by, because not all signs are very obvious. There are signs that I look like I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I was in Chicago last weekend, and before I parked, I had to stop and read the signs. Like, what is this? I didn't know what it said. So how is somebody who doesn't even speak the language know? If I don't even know, and I can see really well and I can read really well, and I still had to look at the signs to determine if I could park there. It's like, what are we doing here? There should be a language test, because part of a nation, maybe this goes back to my nationalism, is borders, language, and culture. If you don't have any of those things, you don't have a country. You can't. And they were calling it racist when they were saying, well, I think it was Trump. Every candidate on the right was saying they wouldn't make English the official language or whatever. But it should have been anyway. Why wasn't it? Because you can't make laws like that, like the driver's license thing, unless you have a official language of the country. They don't have a license for citizenship, and always get out of it. Not only that, there are states like Arizona, New York, where if you get pulled, I don't know if New York, I know for sure Arizona, because it happened while I was there, and I was like, okay, we got to go. Where it is against the law for the police to ask for identification, and they compared it to Nazis asking for papers, and I'm like, okay, what about when I get pulled over? Do I just say I don't speak English? Me no hable? No, they're going to still make me pull out my papers. The papers are registration and your license. It's nothing like Nazi Germany, but that's how they sold it. And they allowed it. So now, if somebody gets pulled over in Phoenix, at least Phoenix, I'm pretty sure it's the state of Arizona, they can't ask. They can't ask them for their papers, because apparently that's like Nazism. But if a citizen gets pulled over, they have to ask. And you're required to hand them over. And it's a lawful command. So if you don't, you get dragged out of the car, put in handcuffs, possibly tased, depending on your attitude, and taken to jail. Why is this being allowed? How is this okay? And why aren't more citizens saying, wait a minute, why am I being held to a higher standard than somebody who's not even supposed to be here? Like, this makes no sense. And we're providing food, and we're giving them money. So back to my house analogy. These people broke into my home. They're hiding in the basement. I go down there and notice them, and then they demand food and money, and I have to give it to them. All under the understanding is, yeah, but we'll do a job somewhere else that you won't do. We work really hard too. Like, what's happening in this country makes no sense. Sorry.
Okay, this is what it means to be a nation, a people, or what it should mean. And from the time George Washington was president, no American, no one who truly cared about conserving and protecting this country disagreed with this. It's obvious. Now, from the responses I received over the weekend, it is clear that my statements are now considered highly incendiary, even among some conservatives, for stating that our leaders should exclusively prioritize America's interests only. That's what we mean by American only. The only interests that matter are our own. And for saying that, I was criticized from many directions. And I also received some words of concern, or perhaps more eager anticipation from other commentators who prophesied that I would be fired for that video that I just played. A lot of comments like that.
It's crazy.
Well, if you're hearing this and you're watching it, it seems safe to say that I was not, in fact, fired from my job for saying that we should prioritize America's interests, nor would it have made much sense if I had been, because I've been saying the same thing for many years now, and it's also just really obvious. Meanwhile, many of the more serious responses to my commentary were obviously made in bad faith, meaning they misrepresented what I said. And again,
Matt's he didn't get fired yet. I have a feeling over the next year, if this climate doesn't change, not the climate, but if the political climate doesn't change, he's going to be independent, just like Tucker, just like just like Candace Owens. I think they're all going to be. I think he's going to be with them, because you can't say what he's saying right now. It sounds insane that you can't say this, but you can't say this because he didn't give a caveat. He didn't throw in there and say, except for Israel, we got our best friends. We gotta support Israel. He's saying no, America only. He's not even saying first, only. I don't know. I don't even know if they like kids, dude. A lot of these people are the same ones who push. This is the pro-choice people. These are those people. But when the right does it, it's because they're getting paid a lot of money, clearly, from Israeli interests. And I sound like one of the people that I used to say, you shouldn't be saying that. It almost feels like I'm being forced to just say this because it's the truth. And I guess I'm going to be turned into an anti-Semite. But back to the other thing, the borders. So I spoke about language. A gate around your home is a signal to everyone that this is your property. Right. Then when they get within that yard, you have doors. That's just another layer, signifying, hey, you're already on my property. Now you're entering my home. This is the same thing as a border. This is no different. You can't have a home if there's no walls, no border, no gate on your property. How can it be abided by? Like, how can anyone know that it's yours? They'll just be roaming right through your property. They'll literally just walk right through. You'd be sitting there eating, and you just have people walking. They don't know. How are they going to know? Borders, language, culture.
These misrepresentations were not coming from the left. So we have a big problem here when the idea that we should only prioritize our own country's interests is controversial on the right. We've got a big problem. And I never denied that other nations exist. I didn't say America is the only country that exists on the globe. I didn't deny that, some nations will be adversaries and others will be friendly. I also never stated that we should ignore the rest of the world. If Cuba develops a nuclear bomb and tries to detonate it on American soil tomorrow, I would support military action to stop them. Absolutely. On the other hand, if Cuba has some kind of humanitarian crisis, which they often do, then we generally should not intervene because it has no bearing on the United States. It would not make us stronger in any way to send them billions of dollars. Quite the contrary. So we shouldn't do it, usually. And that's the point I was making. The only country that should matter to our leaders is America. America only. America is the only concern. We should only get involved with other countries when there is an unequivocal benefit to our own country. And that is rarely, though not never, the case. And that's the part you're not supposed to say, but it's true. No matter how great an alleged ally may be, we shouldn't do anything for them unless it serves our interests. That is the one qualifier that we should take into account. Does this serve our interests? Does this help American families? And if it doesn't, we shouldn't do it. Conservative.
And Andre Dub, love you, bro, but our defense budget should not dwarf all spending in this country. I know that's his line of work. I get it. I would never want to take food out of his mouth, but we are $37 trillion in debt, and it's because we're worried about everything else. I'm not saying we can't have defense, obviously, But what I'm saying is we spend an astronomical amount of money, and there are government agencies that have budgets that not only don't get touched, but we don't even know where the money goes. I want to say it's the Pentagon. They failed 6 straight audits, I believe. I don't know how many audits they failed, but they just check to see where the money's going, and they have no idea. They haven't been able to balance a very basic checkbook at the Pentagon. And I don't understand how that's possible. And there's never any consequence to these failures that in the private sector you'd get terminated for, you get fired immediately for. There's never anything, there's never any repercussions for these failures. No one ever gets fired. They actually get either moved to a parallel position or they get a promotion. It's insane. Yeah, there's foreigners in position of power, especially I know up in Michigan for sure, Minnesota, New York just got a mayor who's not from this country. That's their state. Their state can choose to do those things if they want. Whatever. I don't agree with it, but that's up to the state to decide if they want to have somebody in their legislature to represent their constituents, even though they're not from the country. That's weird to me that they want that, but it's allowed. So, so you have to understand nobody is allowed to be more oppressed than the Jewish people. They cry out in pain as they strike. Yeah, there are all kinds of Judaism. For sure, spare me your angst. For sure.
Are mad at me for saying American interests are paramount.
So, again, this lady, I don't know who she is. Insurrection Barbie. I followed her, so she must have said something that I liked at some point on X. But right here it says we want MAGA, not America first. I don't know what that is because MAGA is America first. That's what it is. So I don't know who she is. Now I started trolling her because that's absurd. Like I can't even believe anyone would say that. But in response, what's going on, Dantana? In response to he said the food stamp frenzy is over. That's funny. But it says, well, Trump said Tucker should interview whoever he wants because they asked him about the Nick Fuentes interview. He said, let the people decide. I'm not controversial. We decided. And they're saying, this lady's saying, we want MAGA, not America first. I don't know what that means. I really genuinely don't know what that means. So this is what, again, this is probably going to cost him at some point at Daily Wire. And somebody said something about, I can't see it because my thing's in the way. Crap. She said, you mean when people are complicit to the cruel murder of innocent something, something, something? He says, oh, piss off already. I'm talking about an issue in America and all you can think about is Israel. It's pathetic. You aren't America first, you're Israel first. Just from a different direction. That now, and this was in September. Now, that's controversial to say. Be careful, Matt.
Mark Levin, who I know, well, he's obviously a lunatic, but he's a person.
So I wanted to go back over this because last week I went over Ben Shapiro talking about Candace Owens. I went over Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. Now I want to cover what Tucker said about Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro has ramped up the attacks on Tucker. He's not referring to him as evil. It's really, really weird. So I want to play this, and yeah, this is interesting because Tucker is, in my opinion, way more reasonable, but he's truly America first.
And I didn't want to fight. Well, yeah, obviously is, but I didn't want to fight with him at all. And I said to both of them, I called them the day after or 2 days after Charlie was killed from my backyard because I was really thinking about it and praying about it. And I was like, we agree on a lot, actually. And I'm not that interested in the topic of Israel. I'd be so glad never to hear the name again. I mean, I would be so glad. I would never mention it again. I'm not for more forever wars. Let's just stop that pressure, and I'll never mention it again. I'll never think about it again.
I got a very strange text this morning from Tucker Carlson, 10:16 a.m. I'll read it to you verbatim.
This is Mark Levin, radio show host. He's been in radio forever. But just listen to him, how delusional he is. This is so interesting.
Good morning, he writes to me. The leadership at Turning Point has asked me to debate you at their event in Scottsdale in December. I'm happy to do it, and I hope you'll agree as well. Beyond the personal insults, which I'll try to keep to a minimum, there are real and important ideological differences between us, and I think the country would benefit from an extended conversation about them. So again, I hope you'll accept. Let me know. Thanks. The guy is desperate. He's taken a hit on his podcast.
Tucker Carlson was #1 until Candace Owens took over in media. So Joe Rogan's always going to be Joe Rogan. It's like, this is like talking about the greatest of all time in basketball. Michael Jordan's always going to be Michael Jordan. He's not even in the same conversation. That's Joe Rogan. But as far as social media, regular social media, Tucker Carlson has been #1 for a long time. Candace Owens just overtook him. He's probably going to be right back. So for whatever reason, Mark Levin's saying that he's struggling on his podcast. I don't think Mark Levin knows anything about how ratings work. Here it says his current viewership is primarily on independent digital media platforms, his own network and X, where the content reaches a significantly larger audience than former linear TV show, or than his former linear TV show on Fox News. Same thing with radio. It's not even close. Terrestrial radio is not even close to what you're going to get if you're going live on X and you're somebody like this.
He's fighting like hell for his career. He's fighting like hell for his reputation. People are awakening to what scum he actually is.
So again, individual episodes of Tucker Carlson on X can garner tens of hundreds to millions of views. His interview with, I don't even know who Javier Milei is, for instance, received 428 million views. The one with Donald Trump had 265 million views. These metrics on X are views where a user watches for at least 2 seconds. So it's kind of hard to pin down what really helped, but they're still getting watch hours. They're still getting that data. But it says, meaning they're not directly comparable to traditional TV. So even if you cut that in half, Mark Levin is nowhere near getting the eyes on him as Tucker is, or the ears on him as Tucker is. And for whatever reason, he thinks he's bigger than Tucker.
And he thinks I'm going to platform him? He thinks I'm going to help him kick up his podcast ratings?
I'm so sorry. This is his podcast ratings. This is Mark Levin, 1.4 million total viewers. Now, he is the highest rated primetime program on cable news on Sundays. So that's it. Tucker gets that within an hour, 104,000 views. He gets that within an hour of any podcast that he drops. Doesn't matter what the topic is. He can be talking about scrambled eggs. He's going to get that within an hour. But Mark Levin is talking as if he would do Tucker a favor to have him on his show. I genuinely think he has no idea how this stuff works. And when I'm talking about Tucker, that's just on X. I'm not talking about YouTube. He gets millions and millions of views over there too. So Mark Levin is a dinosaur in this. And he just simply does not understand what he has no idea what he's talking about.
What would Charlie say? What would Rush say? What would any rational response? Here it is. I wrote him the following. My family and I want nothing to do with you. What you've become, your vile libels against my faith, millions of Christians, and in my view, what you seek to do to our country. There's nothing to debate. You're a Nazi promoter. You're the modern-day David Duke. I debate people with whom I disagree for a living, who are a lot smarter than you, but for whom I have some respect.
So he said, what would Charlie say? This is what Charlie said, I believe it was a week before he was shot. Just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. So he was doubling down and getting somebody that they hated even worse to go on tour with him. So he just said, what would Charlie say? What do you mean, what would he say? He would say, do the debate. Mark Levin is out of there. He's completely out of there.
I'm also disappointed in TPUSA that continues to platform you. It's not about free speech. You could be heard by millions regardless.
Tucker Carlson interviews Nick Fuentes, 6 million views. Mark Levin, that takes him 6 months to get. And he's talking like he's he would be doing Tucker a favor. Again, this is insanity.
Some unsolicited advice. Stop long enough to remember who you used to be and what you used to stand for. So, as expected, knee-jerk. For the record, I'm strongly anti-Nazi. Does he sound that way to you, America? Oh, you're going to hear more.
Yes.
But that's hardly the point. This seems like the perfect opportunity to rebut what you consider evil ideas and to do it to my face like a man. I'd think you'd jump at the chance, assuming you believe your positions are defensible. I'm offering the marketplace of ideas you often talk about. Is it possible you can't really defend, for example, what Israel has done to civilians in Gaza? I said, there you go. You're not feared, you're despised. Well, you're a coward. And if you change your mind, I'm here. Thanks. You little bastard, you attacked my stepson? You didn't do that face-to-face, did you?
Oh,
you stabbed him in the back while he's serving President Trump on his second tour, while he's in safe rooms with ballistic missiles passing over his head. You little bastard. Nobody's afraid of you. I'd rather debate a skunk.
You obviously care about it.
So why not talk to him then? Why not expose this Nazi, as you're calling him? Why run from him? I don't like Nick Fuentes, but why is Ben Shapiro running from him? It's only making him bigger. Get him on stage, humiliate him in a debate, and move on. This is what the right used to do. How they're acting right now is what liberal Democrats do. Not Democrats, liberal Democrats and leftists. This is how they behave. I'm too good to talk to you. But there's always been in place the idea that debate is the best way to get your ideas out and let the people decide. He doesn't want to do that. He thinks he's too good for that. He's too big for that. I'm not going to platform you. He's 10 times bigger than you, Mark Levin.
Much rather do that's fine. But take that off the table and we agree on a lot. So let's, not attack each other. And they didn't abide by those terms, but that's fine. They were under no
Mark
obligation.
Levin was literally attacking you within days of that. I remember when you had that conversation. We talked about it. Within days.
That's fine. I don't care what
He's
Mark...
also out there calling me an anti-Semite. I don't even know what... I know at least what the accusations against you are. I have no idea what I did.
Is anyone thinking through the damage this is doing, like downstream? I don't think that Levin... Again, there are things that Levin says that I agree with completely.
Okay,
but
enough about him, because he's truly... Mark Levin, you're like, oh, Mark Levin's angry again. What a shock. But is there any way that you and Ben Shapiro can actually find your way to détente?
I'm not against Ben Shapiro. He did like a 40-minute thing yesterday calling me dangerous and all this stuff. It's like, I didn't watch it, because why? But I got a lot of texts about it, and it's like, I don't think Ben Shapiro is driving a lot of this stuff. I don't consider him like the world's greatest force for evil. I don't feel that way at all. I don't actually think about him ever. So I'm not attacking him. I saw him at Charlie's memorial service backstage, totally nice, and he looked a little uncomfortable, but I wasn't uncomfortable. I'm like a lunatic. I was like prattling on and telling him obscene jokes and all this stuff, and he was totally nice. A little appalled, but nice. And so I don't want to have a war with Ben Shapiro. I don't know does he really think that me doing an interview in which I explain that anti-Semitism is wrong to one of the lead purveyors of anti-Semitism, that somehow makes me a Nazi? Like, what is the argument here?
I'm going to ask him tomorrow night.
No, but I don't even understand what the argument is. All I know is that the right, and I've been on the right since before Ben was born, is acting like the left in such an amazingly precise way that I'm like, what the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. And I tell you this, I'm against that. I was against it when the left did it. I'm against censorship. I'm against identity politics, no matter who does it, period. Because that violates my principles. And I'll never be on board with that. I don't care if my...
Nene Loyal, how you doing? Long time no see. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Purple Heart. Appreciate you. This is how it's always been. The right is supposed to be debating this stuff. And it is. It's just really weird to watch how they're behaving. But this is a form of cancel culture. Because all of them are talking about we shouldn't platform these people. And I don't understand that.
Own kids run for office. If they engage in censorship and identity politics, I'm out. If it's all about their tribe, if this is about whose ever tribe, we're done. This has to be about our common Americanness. We're all American citizens. And if our politics is not about that, it can't continue. Period.
And this is not coming from a place of animus for Tucker on a personal level. I've known Tucker for a very long time. Tucker and I, whenever we're in personal situations, we get along great. I think I saw that Tucker talked about how we were at Charlie's memorial in the vice president's box together, and he's correct. We saw each other, we said hello, we talked, it was very friendly, and all of that. And it's also true that a couple of days after Charlie's murder, he reached out and he called me and he said, listen, I know that we're at odds, and we've been at odds for a number of reasons, mainly political. Again, on a personal level, I go fishing with Tucker anytime. The real question is, for me, I got into this business because I care about the ideas and I care about the ideals. And so when you're determining what is conservatism, what should the future of America look like, and where do you draw the lines, those are the questions that I need to answer in my job. For me, my business is really not about friendship. I have lots of friends, people who I love, with whom I disagree on politics and don't believe they should be leaders in the conservative movement, for example. And that to me is the real question. In any case, Tucker reached out. He said, we've had a bunch of disagreements, and what if we could put those aside and align toward the DSA in particular, is what he mentioned. And I said, Tucker, you're totally right. Let's do that. That would be great. In fact,
the TSA?
The DSA. the Democratic
Then why
Socialist
the
America.
TSA? How did that bring you together?
The Democratic Socialist America. And the reason
No,
I'm
that I know.
yes, and the reason I'm taking
TSA only divides people.
is because yes, the reason I'm taking out my phone is because I don't just I like to evidence what I'm saying with actual evidence. So I texted him, and the text exchange was very nice. I mean, here's what the actual text exchange went like after the call. So I texted him, and I said, thanks so much for calling. It means the world. It truly does. Should we do a show together, talking about the DSA threat, Democratic Socialist America threat, and orienting in the same direction? Happy to do whatever it takes to bring everyone back together for the fight that matters. And Tucker then wrote back, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to spend the next week or two thinking about how to be most effective. The country is clearly on the brink. I reached out repeatedly after that. Nothing happened. And again, I thought it was a good idea at the time. I think I felt differently after I saw what he did with Nick Fuentes, and after he proceeded, in my opinion, to spend the subsequent weeks doing literally nothing to fight the left. I say this with sadness because Tucker used to be, I think, a deeply important part of the conservative push to win. The number of times that Tucker Carlson has mentioned Zohar Mamdani since October 5th on his show is once. And it was in the context of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson talking about the appeal of Zohar Mamdani. Just by way of contrast, not because I'm a perfect representative here, but because you've talked about Zohar Mamdani a lot. A lot of us have. Since October 5th, I did 17 separate shows on Zohar Mamdani, including 4 in the last week before the election. Okay, because when you're
And I talked about this.
orienting against the left, you really should orient against the left.
So I talked about this last week. He's trying to dictate what other content creators talk about, and if you don't, he's got something to say to you. And it's like, he doesn't have to talk about somebody. He doesn't live in New York. That's not his issue. Ben Shapiro just wants to win. He's only about the politics. He's not about the actual results. So he would put in somebody who he does not like just so they win and get more seats if it's in Congress. And that's something I've always hated. I like actions. I like them to get stuff done. I don't care who it is. If they're getting something done that I agree with, that's what I'm all about. But this is really, so she's a Christian Zionist. She's about to ask Ben Shapiro something, and he doesn't believe this. But just listen to what he says.
Ask every guest this. If you could offer one remedy to heal a sick culture, it could be physically, emotionally, or spiritually. What would that remedy be?
Go to church. Go to church. I say this is a Jew. Go to church.
Why do you say that as a Jew?
Because this is a Christian country. And I want Jews to go to synagogue, but there ain't that many of us. So if you're a Christian, or if you grew up in a Christian household, even if you didn't, go to church. Church is good for you. I've said that my entire career. Charlie said it his entire career. It ain't going to stop now.
So he doesn't believe that. He's been mocking Christianity for a very long time. I found this to be very fascinating because I'm like, this is propaganda. What he's doing. They're shaping a narrative, and now all of a sudden he's pro-church. He spent his whole career mocking Christianity. And listen, you don't have to agree with Christianity. You can completely disagree. That's not the point. The point is, all of a sudden now you're saying go to church.
From a Jewish point of view, where we don't believe in the divinity of Christ, I think that there you can make an argument that the Gospels, which were written,
he was just a prophet. And
significant. No. We don't even believe he was a prophet.
What do you think he was? What do you guys think?
What do I think he was historically? I think he was a Jew who tried to lead a revolt against the Romans and got killed for his trouble, just like a lot of other Jews at that time who were crucified for trying to lead revolts against the Roman and got killed for their trouble.
So he became legend in story, and it became a bigger and bigger deal as time went on.
Yeah, he had a group of followers, and then that gradually grew, and then
do you think he was resurrected?
No, that's not a Jewish belief.
Okay, I just want to check.
Yeah, no, we're not into
we're
not into miracle stories. No, that's
no?
No.
You don't have any miracles?
No, not by Jesus. Right?
No?
They're ones in the Old Testament.
Ones?
Like I can't join a church. I assume I don't believe the things that people in the church believe.
You probably could if you donate. You got to give the right amount of money.
Well, I don't believe in the Jesus, so there's that
Jesus.
Part. Yeah.
So he has no problem mocking it. So you don't have to believe it, but why mock it? I don't go around making Muhammad jokes. I don't joke about his yarmulke. I don't talk about Buddha. Like, it's disrespectful, whether you agree with it or not. But here's an old tweet where he says the Passion 2, because Mel Gibson, I talked about this last week, but I want to show this again to show who this guy is. Mel Gibson's making a part 2, and Ben Shapiro says the Passion 2, he won't be crossed again. That's funny. Or is it disrespectful? I don't think it's funny. And If he were a comedian, I would have no issue with this because that's what comedians do. He's not. He's not in any way. He's not even funny. So he's clearly doing that because he thinks it's funny. He wants to take jabs. He's been doing this his whole career. This is 2014. Ben Shapiro, September 29th, 2014. Elijah Krause wins with this comment on Jesus. Hands up, don't shoot pose. It should be hands up, don't nail. So if you know you're blaspheming someone else's God, even if you don't believe it, why do it? He's not a comedian. This isn't Joe Rogan. This isn't, Tim Dillon. This isn't a comedian. He knows what he's doing. Now, all of a sudden, he's telling people it's a good thing. Go to church. While you mock who we say is God, hands up, don't nail. Really? That's funny. Ben Shapiro, the guy with no sense of humor. I guess that's funny to him.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Look, as of right now,
that's Ben Shapiro. The entire basis for Israel's existence. And when Trump, we don't even have to talk about Trump. The entire basis for their existence is because it's their land. They have a God-given right to be there. But in this country, he's talking to people in this country, he doesn't think you have a right to be in your homeland, but his people have a right to be in theirs. Now, if I made a joke or I said anything like that about his faith and said, well, hey, if those people can't afford to be there without America, maybe they should find somewhere else that they can afford to be and be safer. That's anti-Semitic. But he could say that about American citizens and people who live here.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality.
So if I said, if you're a Jewish person and you can't afford, or it's not safe enough for you to live in Israel, then maybe you should consider moving. I know it's, normal for people to say because you were born there, you should stay there. You see how this is a horrible thing to say? You can literally put this on him specifically. I'm not talking about, and I'm not even really saying this stuff as though I mean it. I'm making his point. His entire career has been talking about the right of Israel to not only exist, but to be where they are and their holy lands and all this. And here he is talking about American citizens not having the right to stay in your own city where you grew up.
The reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Look,
it's been thousands of years, Ben. The opportunity seems to not really be there for your people to stay at home. And again, this is not my view. I'm making his point against him to make the point that it's a horrible thing to say. And it's callous. And he's going to say it on the grounds of capitalism. Yeah, well, you shouldn't be there. Okay, well, we can say the same thing. Why are we funding and why are we sending money to your country? Because you clearly are not America first. Why are we sending money to your country so they can exist? And why do you appeal to us? Every time something happens, you appeal to us as this is why we're required to help them. Biblically, we go to nationalism all of a sudden. He doesn't believe any of this stuff unless it applies to him. That is a horrible thing to say. So for the last one, Steven Crowder. Of all people, Steven Crowder wants to jump in and get some clout, and now he's saying, "Hey, this is bad. It's really, really bad. We need peace on the right. Let me facilitate it on my channel." This is the same guy who talks and he calls Candace Owens an opportunist, so she does stuff for clicks and views. Listen to how he talks about the popularity of what's going on right now.
As of right now, this moment, I believe still, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens are all trending. And it is just a bunch of friendly and in some cases unfriendly fire. It's a civil war in the right now. And I'll tell you, that's really honestly a fight for the soul of the country. And what I mean by that is the left has no soul. We know that. It is a soulless succubus. And so whatever moves forward as the right wing, the conservative, the populist, the MAGA movement is going to determine the soul of this country. And I've been around here, certainly doing this kind of a show, the longest, been on YouTube since 2009. I've had Ben Shapiro on this show many times. I've been on Tucker Carlson's show back. He was a host in Fox and Friends weekends many times. We've crossed streams with Candace Owens. I've had Mark Levin on the show. I'd like to invite every single one of them, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, on the show for a conversation, for a debate, however you guys want to do it, because I think there does need to be some neutral territory here. And I think that this idea of each side on the right not wanting to platform the other side, that's not a thing anymore. Everyone has a platform in this argument, in this fight. Everyone has a platform, and we should be the wing of ideas, of discussion. I think that some tactics lately have been underhanded. I think some people have been less than straightforward. I think there may be some bad actors, not necessarily of those in positions of authority who have mentioned, but those who are following them. I'll tell you this, Ben Shapiro is wrong about a lot. He's also right about quite a bit. Mark Levin is wrong about a lot. He's right about quite a bit. I think his approach right now is really wrong, and the way he's dealing with it. Tucker Carlson has some pretty strong ideas. He's also wrong about a lot, in my opinion. Candace Owens, you know that we disagree more than we agree on approach and on the decision to almost exclusively attack those on the right. For example, I think that Schumer, I think that Brian Stelter is far more harmful to America. I think that legacy media is far more harmful to America than Ben Shapiro.
Brian Stelter's still around? What is he talking about? Brian Stelter's gone. He's been gone. Is he back? Is he back to being a threat to democracy? What is he back? Yeah.
Or Tucker Carlson. Could say the same for Mark Levin and Candace Owens. So I don't know why all of these attacks are just going to each other. Not a big fan of it. Don't like it. There's no middle ground here right now. Either Erica Kirk is evil and was in on it, or Candace Owens is an evil cunt.
So Candace Owens is an evil cunt. But since you're trending, come to my show. We got to talk these things out, guys, while he's insulting people. The very people that he wants to invite on his show, because now she's number one. Well, that'll do numbers. Candace, come on, let's talk. Come on, we gotta stop this. You miserable, evil cunt. This dude is unbelievable. He's such a clown.
I hope I'm being really clear about that. I'll even moderate this if people want to sit down and talk across. I hate to say across the aisle. We're supposed to be in the same aisle. But we need to hash this out. We need to determine the soul of this country in the future. And I don't think it's in a great place right now. I really don't. I've been around long enough to see the momentum, to see the gains, to see the shift in young Gen Z male voters. And I think if we don't get a handle on this and look, I don't believe in finding common ground based on a lie. That's why I don't try to find common ground with those on the left right now. Certainly not those in positions of leadership of the Democrat Party. Guarantee you I can find common ground with any of the aforementioned people who is trending.
Of course, because they're trending. But I would love to ask him, what does he think it is? Because to me, it's pretty clear, especially now that the Epstein files are about to be released, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. It's clearly this movement, this campaign of Zionism. Clearly, what it is, promoting another country in this country is a problem, and people are feeling that. I forget what the numbers are, but it's like well over half of, I think it's even in Israel, they're having the same debate. But in this country, it's like well over half of MAGA is like, we shouldn't be doing this. Now, mind you, I'm in that movement. I was okay with this before, but I was not in it like this. Now they're trying to force it on me, and I'm like, I don't care. Well, if you don't care, you're anti-Semitic, and you're in on it. You're complicit. But here he is. Well, since you guys are trending, we might as well talk it out, guys. This is really, really good. Really, really bad. We don't want this to happen. He's such a clown. I really used to like this guy too. That's what makes it so funny. Just looking at him now, like, wow, you've been a clown this whole time. This whole time.
Ben Shapiro was supposed to be on the show actually not that long ago. Ben, haven't heard back. We've obviously reached out to Tucker a few times. He was supposed to be on the show. Tucker, haven't heard back. We are glad to host you guys. And if it's a conversation about ideas, if there are problems that need to be fixed, that need to be pruned in this movement, well, let's fix them. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. Tell him, Stephen. You guys are trending. I need you on my show. Come to my platform. Oh, that guy. He's still insulting Candace Owens while inviting her on his show. She must have said no. Actually, the other day she did mention him, and she's like, I never liked him. So now he's back to insulting her. That's all I really have. If anyone, let's see, let me drop a link. If anyone wants to come up, that guy is unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And what's funny is at least he says it. At least he said it. You guys are trending. Let's work it out. Come on. Come to my show. I don't have the biggest platform, but I've been here longer than all you guys, so I think you should be on my show. Dude. I can get this off now. I was looking for something specific. I'll give you guys a second if anybody wants to. If not, we're good. I'm done. I'm gonna go back to watching. I gotta catch up. I really gotta catch up on some stuff. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know if you guys saw the security guard for Charlie Kirk did an interview. Fascinating interview. Let's see. Oh, this put me on the side. That's not bad. Should have did this the whole time. Fascinating interview. If you haven't seen this, it's by Ryan. What's his name? I need to get his name. But I don't think he's released the whole thing yet. But here you'll see all the Candace Owens slander. What's really funny is that interview. I'm going to go over this interview for sure. I'm just waiting for the whole thing to come out. He's asking a lot of the questions she asked, but they're acting as if he debunked some things that she said. And I'm like, all right. But look at him. Just every post on my timeline, it's either Nick Fuentes, or they're bashing Candace Owens, or they're bashing Tucker Carlson. Of course, they're bashing Nick Fuentes, and he's earned that. These people are unbelievable. Anyway, so it doesn't look like anyone's coming up. I appreciate everybody. Thank you all so much. Look at this. This is incredible. Oh, I got to see that one too. But it's incredible how much they're just bashing. It's wild to watch, and how they're using Charlie Kirk is just horrible. It's disgusting what they're doing. Sean Ryan, that's his name. His interview should be coming out. I don't know when it's going to be released, but he did an interview with Charlie Kirk's head of security, and by the end of that video, there's more questions now than there were before It's it's really interesting. Look at this. These people just lying. Look at this. These are all fake. And what's really funny, when you go in her comments, there's going to be people saying that's not the thumbnails, but she's going to post it anyway. She said, Lord, may a friend like Candace Owens never find me. Of course, I commented, said, you don't have to worry about having friends. But look, these are the real thumbnails. She clearly made it up. Like, they're just overtly lying. They're just lying. Under her own feed. This is what she has. See those big Charlie, like these aren't the thumbnails. These are the thumbnails. But nobody's saying anything. They just lie. And my whole timeline is these people just lying. Yeah, anyway. All right. So I appreciate you. You said smart bullets. You should look up smart bullets. I will look that up. And the other thing you said, I don't know what this is. Former Israeli minister. Oh, I will look that up for sure. I will definitely look that up. In fact, I'm going to screenshot that so I don't forget. So they do that as a defense mechanism so that they can shut conversation down. Thank you, sir. The other one is smart bullets. I will look that up. Spare me your inks. Appreciate you. Lou Jenkins, thank you. Kiss My Cheeks, thank you as always. Appreciate you. Nini Loyal, thank you. Purple Hearts Podcast. Miss Phoenix Rising, The Bad Guy, Dan Tana. As always, thank you guys so much. Let's see. Who else was in here? Andre W., or as some people call him, Andrew. Thanks for stopping in, man. I said Miss Phoenix. Who else? Oh, Free J. Free J snuck in there. Miss Just J. Thank you. Aura Monarch. Thank you. You too, sir. Appreciate you, man. True Essence. Thank you. Angelo. Appreciate you, man. Thank you guys all for coming. I genuinely do. I'm going to be going through my timeline after I log out of here because I got a whole bunch of stuff to look at that I wanted to look at that I didn't have time to before I came up here. So, let me pull that down. With that said, I'm going to figure out this whole banner thing, or not banner, but this whole brand. I don't know why I can't, because I created a whole brand, and for some reason I can't pull it up. It's weird. So since YouTube or since StreamYard allow you to post both, it's not letting me use both brands. And when I say brand, I mean I have stuff that'll fit specifically in the vertical window and stuff that'll fit specifically in landscape. I did all that work, but I can't use it. Anyway, with that said, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Number 3, I'm out.